Right guys, today we're learning to plot quadratic graphs, and there's keywords at the side and you do need to know these, and the word is plot, quadratic, parabola, and the x and y axis you should already know. Now quadratic is a graph where the highest power is a squared. So can you have a go at this starter, then pause the video, and I'm going to go through the answers now. So when x equals 2, y is going to be 8 here, because 2 cubed is 8. And when x equals 3, y is going to equal 27. This will help us build up to learning how to plot cubics. Now, when x equals 2 here, you have minus a quarter times 2, so you're going to get 1 minus a half, so that's going to be y equals 2. And when x equals 3, y is just going to equal a quarter. So when x equals 2 here, y is going to become 6 minus 4, so y equals 2. Now when x equals 3 here, y is going to be 0. So when x equals 2 on this one, y, you're going to get 4 minus 4, y is going to be 0. And when x equals 3 here, y is going to be 9 minus 4, which is 5. And this is easy enough because you can square numbers easy. So x equals 2, y is going to be 4. When x equals 3, y is going to be 9. And for this you should be very good at these ones. So when x equals 2, you're going to get 2 times 2 plus 1, so y equals 5. And when x equals 3, you're going to get 2 times 3 plus 1, so y equals 7. Now I want to point to something here to you guys, because it's a very common mistake. Imagine when x equals minus 2 for this. If you do this on a calculator and do minus 2 squared on a calculator and you type this in, you will get an answer of minus 4 because of BIDMAS. Because the calculator will do the power first to get the 4 and put the minus on. Remember, when we're doing x squared, you're in fact, and x is minus 2, then you're in fact doing minus 2 times minus 2, which becomes 4, right? So 4y equals x squared minus 4, and that's the most common misconception. You're going to get y equals minus 2 times minus 2, then minus 4. We do the times first. You know that's going to be 4 minus 4 equals y. So in this case, y is going to be 0. Perfect. Right, can you recognize these graphs? This is just going to help you a bit. That's a graph of x squared, because all quadratic graphs look like a U shape or an N shape. This is a linear graph, so that's 2x plus 1, because remember you can see the gradient here. That's 2. That's 1, so the gradient is 2. M equals 2. You can see the y-intercept is 1 here. So putting that in the equation of a line, that's y equals 2x plus 1. And this one is just x squared minus 4. And you can see, if you notice, the intercept is minus 4. We'll go into that in a bit more detail. I'm just going to show you these answers. That's a linear graph, and you can tell it's got a negative gradient because it's going downhill. Now, the other type of quadratic graph is the N shape, and that's because when it's got a negative x squared like here, then it's going to be flipped like that. And later, after we master quadratics, we're going to learn how to draw cubic graphs where the highest power is the power of 3, which makes it cubed. Right, a parabola is this shape here. And I'll let you read that. So quadratic equations can be used to show the path of an object being thrown, kicked, hit, and many others. Think about a golf ball, swing, a ball being kicked into the air, all things like that.
For 5 seconds, 4. Patterson puts it down, poked away, picked up by Andre from 3-quarter, 4, and he. You want to pick me up? You got it right there from Andre.
Early in the year, he hit a half-court on the Celtic franchise scoring list. Good end of the half for Washington. That will not count. And it gets fans stirred up a little bit, and the officials looking at things as well. They will take a look at this.
Right, so I'm just going to show you what these quadratics look like. So remember, I said x squared is going to look like this. A U shape. Can you see a U shape? And then this is going to be the x squared minus 5, the second one. Another U shape. And this is x squared plus 1. And can you see the difference is at minus 5 crosses the minus 5 here, because when x equals 0, y has to equal minus 5. And the plus 1, it crosses here with the y-intercept is 1. So that's a good clue for you when you're plotting your graphs, if you know you're doing it correctly. Well, what would those look like? The x squared plus 10 will look like a u, but it will cross, or the y-intercept will be plus 10 for y equals x squared minus 10, it'll be minus 10. And remember what I said, y equals minus x squared. If it's a negative x squared, it's going to look like an N shape. It's alright. And this is what I mean, it will look like this, because of the negative in front of the x squared, and that will causes the shape to flip round and it's no longer a U. So when you have a number in front of the x squared, this is x squared, and the next one is 2x squared then 3x squared. Now if you notice, the 2x squared and 3x squared are narrower U's, because a number in front of the x, which is called a coefficient, makes it shoot up. Here you go, have a read of that. So I'm explaining all this so you get a strong understanding of quadratics. It is important for certain questions. So what happens, so if the number in front of x squared is getting larger, it gets narrower. So if it's a fraction, well, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be, should make sense to you, wider. The u is going to get wider. So the black line is x squared, this one is half x squared, and the quarter x squared is going to get wider. Have a read of that. Now we're going to plotting quadratics now. I'm going to give you this nice system so that you can do this. Now after I do this example, it would be good if you can go back and give it a go yourself. So can you see I've split all the terms separately? As that's a plus x, I've just left it as x. So if you do it like this, you're less likely to make a mistake. So what's minus 2 squared? Minus 2 times minus 2 is 4, right? Minus 1 times minus 1 is 1. 0 times 0 is 0. And you just continue that on. And that, you're just working out the x squared terms. Now, x on its own, so substitute the x for the number. Minus 2. And I think you can finish that there. Pause the video, do the rest. And you've got that correct. Now, with the number 5, as you can see, it's called a constant. So you don't need to substitute that. That 5 is going to stay the same for all of this. So how do you think we can work out y here? We just add downwards, right? So 4 plus minus 2, so that becomes 4 minus 2, then plus 5. So 4 minus 2 is 2, plus 5 is 7. 1 plus minus 1 turns that to a negative. The plus and minus is next to each other. That turns that to 0, and that's 5. Now, can you do the rest? Pause the video, give it a go. Now, that's perfect. So, sometimes this is just good practice. If you make a mistake, just write that coordinate down underneath so you know exactly what you're plotting. And so forth. And the table is the hardest part. That's worth at least 2 marks normally. And plotting's easy. You get a mark for plotting. Just plot what you can see and draw that. In a real question, you'll get to plot more than that, but this graph doesn't fit all those numbers in. And that's quite easily done. Now, a key point here is, can you see it's a U? This is a common mistake. You never draw a straight line like that because quadratics never have any straight lines. Imagine the flight of the basketball. It is a smooth curve, isn't it? So make sure you have that little dip in there always, because you will lose a mark. And that's a common mistake students always make. It's in examiner reports all the time. And I see it all the time as well. So, this is a minus x squared now. So think, using BIDMAS, same skills, what's minus 2 times minus 2? Because that's, you do the powers first, right? So you know that's 4. Then you do put the minus sign in, so that becomes minus 4. Minus 4, right? The next term is minus 1. Now, this one here, it's just x on its own, so x is going to be minus 2 here, right? Can you fill that in now? Pause the video, give it a go. Well done if you've done that. Now, can you see when x equals 3, 3 squared is 9, but you've got to put the minus sign here. And that's why, because the x squared is the most powerful term in this, that's why it flips the shape from a U to an N. And fill that in. Now you can put a plus sign or minus sign next to each it. The plus sign just will help you not make a mistake in front of the 1. But if there's no plus, you should know that's still 1, right? If all 5 stays the same, it is something called a constant. Now, can you work out the y? This practices your negative numbers. And this is the only place you'll go wrong. And I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to show the answers now. Well done if you've got that. And then plotting is the easy part. And can you remember, it's going to be a U shape if it's positive quadratic, but this time it's an N shape because it's a negative quadratic. But you can see which way it's going once you've plotted the graph. The coordinates of the maximum point, that word is quite obvious. If you've ever get asked that, that could be possible. That is a maximum point there, so I would say that is 0.5. They would normally say estimate. Right, are you ready? Because these are the more challenging type quadratics. I'm going to do that box for you. Can you fill in that box on your own and work out the y value? Then plot it. Because if you can do that, that's 4 marks in your pocket. Hopefully you can do that. This way it's just breaking up the skill. If you can do it without breaking up the skill, that's good as well. But this is just extra safe. And pause the video, give it a go. I'm going to show you the answers now. And if you've got that row, that's good. Do the second row. That should make sense because think about for the minus 1 thing here, we're going to do minus 2 times minus 1. So you've got to remember that's going to be positive, negative times a negative. Continue on. Now, what's going to happen here? You're going to have a positive times a negative because of the x. So minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. And minus 8 stay the same. Can you work out the y's? Did you do it correctly? Well done if you did that. Now, those coordinates for x in red and y, just plot those down. And you get a mark for plotting that correctly. And the next mark is joining it up with a smooth curve not a straight line. Imagine the flight of the basketball. Now, can you see, this is the key word, this is a minimum point. It makes sense because it's at the bottom and it's at its smallest value here. And at the minimum and maximum point, can you see there is a line of symmetry. And if your graph is symmetrical, then you know you've got it correct. If your graph, and it's quadratic where the highest power is 2, and it doesn't look like a U or an N, you've definitely made a mistake sometimes. I've seen like M's written, and that's actually not possible. Now, you could get asked this, and these are called roots, where it crosses the x-axis or when y equals 0. This is something you need to know. That catches people out because they don't know what the word is. So, can you complete those two numbers in that table? That's worth 1 mark. Pause the video, give it a go. It is 5 and minus 1. B, you just need to plot this. I'm just going to plot that for you. You're going to get a worksheet. Now here, so what I'm saying is, no straight line. You will lose a mark if it's not a straight line. In some mark schemes, you'll just get a mark even for just doing a nice curve. Now, I'm using a tablet, so here, don't do a straight line. It's going to curve. There's going to be a little curve here. And just leave it like that. You can see the line of symmetry would have occurred, but we only need to draw the graph up to the values it gave us, and you can see the line of symmetry would be there if we continue that graph on for greater values of x. Perfect. Now roots, take these down in your book, have a read of it. Another word for roots is solutions. You can have 0 roots, 1 root or 2 roots. I'm going to show you that another time. Actually, I will show you that now. Because imagine if you've got a U-shaped quadratic, if it's going like this, can you see that's got 2 roots there? It's going to cross the axis twice. So I'm just going to draw that line there. Now, it could actually just touch like that. So that's got 1 root. And you can get a quadratic like that, so it doesn't cross, so that's got 0 roots. And that should be perfect for you. So, can you spot the roots here? Well done. Can you spot the roots here? Nice work if you can do that. Straightforward, right? People get this wrong because I don't remember the word in the exam, because maths is a language. Well, what's the minimum point? You can see it down below. Perfect. Can you do these roots now? So in the question it'll say estimate the roots. Or they might even say something else, which I'm going to show you later. And this would be correct. And that's worth a mark, or could even be worth 2 marks if you're generous. This needs to be a grade B topic. This is actually B, probably B plus, even though it's, no, 5 plus, even though it's easy. It's knowing the terminology, which is the challenge. What's the root here? This is example 1 solution. Well done. Where it has 1 root. Okay, can you do this question? Pause the video, give it a go. Now remember, it says estimate or estimates. Now sometimes they say find the roots, or when they say it's 0, that is the same as the root. So you just need to write this coordinate down and that coordinate down. So if you said x equals 5.6 and x equals minus 0.5, I'll give you the marks. If you're within 1 decimal place, if you said x equals 5.5, you'll still get the mark. Now this throws people off a lot. Now remember, if you was to do this graph, it's normally shown by a y if you was drawing that graph. Can you see? Y equals x squared, and this is the big clue. That's the same graph as the top. So they've swapped the y for a 6. So all you need to do is do that as a dotted line in the exam. You'll look bit more professional to the examiner. Write down those 2 coordinates. Be careful. That looks like x equals minus 1.4. And that looks like x equals 6.4. And that's an easy 3 marks, right? This one will probably be worth 1 mark. Each one of those is worth 2. Well done if you got that. And if you didn't, that's fine as well, because you did the other roots questions before. These are key points and key terms you need to know. Hopefully you can make a note of that somewhere.